Thanks for tuning in to another show in the Next Reel family of film podcasts.
Want to skip those ads and get early access?
Become a member at truestory.fm/join and discover all the other great perks that come with it.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. But with such gifts there are often curses. The ability to see the world around us provides us with the illusion of safety, a security blanket that can be stripped away as easily as slamming shut a cellar door, smashing a light bulb, or waiting for the sun to set. Nightfall ironically shows us the truth that we are vulnerable to a world that doesn't need to rely on eyes to see us as we are, scared and alone in the dark. Welcome to Sitting in the Dark from True Story FM. I am Kynan Diaz, and I'm with, as always, my three buddies in darkness. Hello, my friends.
Hello.
Hello, Kynan. You're so moody today.
I know. After Kynan.
Biblical.
I love it.
Wow.
Mr. Kynan, yes. So we have with us the master of the dark arts, Chelsea Stardust. Hello, Chelsea.
Hello.
Hello.
I should do that.
Our Prince of Darkness, Tommy Metz III.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Jesus, what does that leave for me?
Our Dark Lord himself.
Nice.
Right. And this week we are looking at movies that are working on our fears within the interplay between light and dark, and we are calling it Sitting in the Dark, literally. So, Chelsea, Tommy, Pete, what do we think about this overall idea? As we're going to look at Wait Until Dark by Terrence Young, Pitch Black by David Twohy, and Don't Breathe by Fede Alvarez.
I was thrilled and immediately embarrassed that this idea never occurred to me. It was sitting right there. We have the word
right in the title
right there.
I was like, in the house the whole time.
Yeah, the podcast was coming from inside the house. Yeah, but no, I thought this was a very great idea and really fun picks.
Oh, for sure. There's this whole, just the ability to sit down and interrogate kind of the relationship between visibility and vulnerability, and power, and a lot of just wonderful meta questions come out of this. And these movies, I can't believe two of these three movies boast the use of the arcane term topsy-turvy, unironically. Two of the three movies, and I haven't heard that word in forever.
Right. Outside the Gilbert and Sullivan, yeah.
Yeah, I loved these picks. I've seen all of these. It was so great to revisit them, and that all three have a through line with our characters, and that I assume was chosen. These three were chosen on purpose because of that, but maybe not. We're going to get into it. Great choices. This was so fun.
Chelsea, it won't be that unusual if you are more perceptive about the movies that I picked than myself. So I'm very, very happy if you I, like, oh, she's setting me up to sound so smart, whatever that is. I can't wait to find out how smart I am.
I know what I meant, but what did you think?
Yes, enough about me. Why don't you say things about me? Yeah. Great. Yes, I thought this was really fun. And, one of them is not quite like the other in Pitch Black, which is about aliens. And so I'm thinking, why don't we actually go a little bit out of order and do Wait Until Dark and Don't Breathe, which are kind of, in conversation with each other, I suppose. And then we can talk about Pitch Black, which is kind of its own thing. Right. So, yes, Wait Until Dark by Terrence Young is about Audrey Hepburn at her most vulnerable in many ways, right? And she is a woman, when we meet her, who has been blinded in her adult life by a fire after a car accident, and is just now adapting to her new life as a blind person when she is confronted by two sets of gangsters who are after something she doesn't even know she has, a doll that has heroin in it. And they go about trying to manipulate each other and manipulate her and her disability in a really torturous way. So, yeah, who was new to Waiting Till Dark? Have we all seen this before?
No, I had not. I knew of it, and I'd read the stage play.
Oh, really?
But I haven't seen the stage play, but I've read the stage play. So I knew some of the stuff, but it was really exciting. And Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
I have seen late Alan Arkin, like Little Miss Sunshine, Glengarry Glen Ross, and I was like, he's the heavy?
Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's based in a play. I haven't seen the play. I would love to. I've heard that people scream in the play because the conceit of it that I don't think they necessarily warn you about is that they're going to kill all the lights on stage during the climax of the film. And the movie can reproduce a little bit of that, but I'd love to see in the different medium of it. Yeah.
They do. It looks like they do warn you in the trailer of, or at least a trailer of this movie. There's a crawl that says, you should know. And it also says specifically, it's going to be really dark. Don't get up when it gets really dark because all of the theater lights, including the running lights, any running lights are going to go out. And if you're sitting in a smoking section, don't light up, which I thought was just such a sweet throwback to our earlier carcinogenic selves.
That's right. Yeah. So any axes to grind about Waiting Till Dark?
Just in the beginning, like it's like there's when the two first bad guys pre Alan Arkin, when they walk in the house, there are back and forth lines where no one is speaking. Like it's just they've just put in lines later, like everyone's mouth is. So it's a little junky at times. It's weird to have this existing property and not have that kind of stuff figured out. But overall, I thought it was fun, and it didn't really feel overly like a play. And when it did, I didn't mind. I don't mind play movies. I really like contained pieces, and I thought that they used stuff. Access to Grind. No. I was about to give it my biggest compliment, but I guess I should.
Hold that.
Just some of the junkiness in the beginning, and then it just always takes me a little while to get used to that type of talking and filming and vernacular and stuff. I'm very aware of movie for a while, and then at one point it goes away.
Yeah, that's how I am too a little bit. So, when I teach film history to the students, they often ask me like, "What's your favorite period of film history?" And because when I was in film school, it was the 50s, and then now we kind of universally agreed it's the 70s, right? That's the best time of American film history. I like the 60s because things are starting to fall apart, like production wise, but it still has this glamour and gloss to it. And in 1967, this is really the dividing line, right? This is the year of The Graduate and Bonnie and Clyde, and Cool Hand Luke and things like that. And I think it's this movie like seems to realize it's in the middle of New Hollywood, like halfway through. And like the first half of it is really very conventional. You could watch that, and if you turned it off at the 40-minute mark, you would be like, oh, that was just like a regular film. And then the second half is this really surprising experimental avant-garde, like even French film noir sort of thing, So yeah, the first half of it, I was just kind of like, let's go. I can't wait to get to the good stuff.
Yeah, we're kind of at the airport in real time.
It feels that first half feels like an earlier 60s film, and once we hit the second half of the movie, it's like welcome to the 70s. We're going to give you a preview. If I have an axe to grind, it's one of the story, not the film. Having never seen the play or read the script, why does she love the doll so much? If she would why does she care? Like, I'm not in favor of, peddling the drugs, but she doesn't know what's in the doll. Why does she want to keep the doll so bad? I don't understand it. I don't think I'll ever understand it. It is a manufactured thing that I can never quite get over. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark would have been the same had Indiana Jones not been in it, right? That's kind of, I just feel like had she just let go of the doll, the result is ultimately, like, what is she doing? Why is she a superhero? I don't know if I have an answer for that or if you guys do.
I love this movie, so it's hard for me to have an axe to grind, but I always would pair this movie with Charade because I think they have similar. I'm a big Audrey Hepburn fan. I've seen every single one of her movies. Her and Cary Grant, I'm sort of like was really into, especially when I was younger. And for the doll, for me, I thought was her trying to protect her husband. Like, didn't think he was involved, but could he be involved? And I think it was more out of like fear. Also, I think not trying to be righteous, but also like not wanting to give these people this doll full of
satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love this movie so much. So axe to grind, no. Except the little girl is so horrible to her.
Yeah.
That little girl Gloria sucks. But
Yeah.
that's good writing. But so that's not an axe to grind. But she saves the day, but Gloria,
and she gets a full arc. Like she gets a full arc. She's a little jerk, and then they get to reconcile and they hug, and then she's a superhero.
Yeah.
She might like that doll because she's not Gloria. That might be the answer. Yes, so I think it is pretty shocking to see people manipulating this blind woman. I wonder what it was like, before we've had this semi-revolution in how we treat people who are differently abled, right? Like to watch them do this. And that's why I think it's so interesting to see Gloria, this little snot kid, do that at the beginning, which does feel more like, oh, that's kind, obviously it's wrong, but that's kind of something people can do, right? And like poke at this woman. And we see that largely from like Gloria's point of view, like where, behind her, she's like watching Susie find all of these kitchen utensils she's thrown on the ground. And so I think that's a really interesting, maybe peek into that's how people might have seen disability, but then also, comparing it to later on where Susie gets her strength and becomes the superhero with these senses that we don't have.
Yeah, I think that it's really a treat to watch this third act, this literal power inversion, especially because she's doubling down. She's not only turning unscrewing the light bulb, she's shattering the lights, right? Like that's an act of satisfying violence to her home in order to trap it, right, as this tactical kind of equalization that she gets to execute. And I think the filmmaking part is that it's incredibly disorienting, right? I don't know about you guys, but we turned the lights out. Like we went dark when the movie went dark, like the trailer told us to do. And I put away my cigarettes, and it is disorienting. I can imagine that first time watching it in a big theater, it would have been really fascinating. It's empowerment rather than victimhood. I do have this. I mean, Audrey Hepburn is beautiful, of course. I did read a piece that said that the film operates, I'm going to get it wrong because I didn't copy the link, as a direct challenge to original theories of male gaze in cinema, because Susie's blindness removes her as an object of vision while simultaneously positioning her as like the film's subjective center. And I'm curious your take on that. We talk about male gaze all the time, and I'll be the one to break the feminist question glass on this. I'm curious how you think about it, because I think the movie does. I don't have a line yet on the film's perspective on her particularly, because they are taking such advantage of her.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I see what they're saying, but yeah, absolutely. The whole thing is they see a way to take advantage of this person and attempt to manipulate her, but luckily she is able to outsmart them. Also, the way I think look at Terrence Young, the director who's known for James Bond. And obviously we know how I love the James Bond movies, but how women are portrayed and presented in those movies.
Very strong and with great agency. Go on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is like, how she's presented is something to note as well, versus like, he's obviously not presenting her like a Bond girl. She's incredible. Like her appearance in general is incredibly, grounded, and so yeah, but all these men are taking advantage of her, like all of them.
Yeah, putting her in a place where she, they're the baseline of the conceit against her is that like your husband is implicated in this murder of his mistress, none of which is true, right? So it's starting from that. That's the least of what they do to her, right? But that in another movie, that would be the ground. The ground under her entirely crumbling, right? But so they are putting her in a place where like she has to act as wife and be victim and savior to her husband at the same time as Richard Crenna. I think a really undersung performance here because Alan Arkin kind of is so pyrotechnic, but he is so smarmy and gross, and he is kind of starting this emotional affair with her over the course of the evening, right? And yeah, so he can be kind of like objectifying her in some way. We're kind of questioning like, well, is that even genuine or not? And then at the end, where he's trying to save her kind of and say like goodbye or whatever, like maybe we get this idea that he does feel sorry for her, maybe he is attracted to her, right? But all of it is built on these lies, right? These awful scenes of like him saying, "Oh wait, let me get you the phone number," and then he's like reading from his notepad, one scripted thing while he's saying another thing, which is mind-boggling. But yeah, but seeing her, trying to see her as an object, but the movie doesn't actually frame her that way, right? So yeah, it's really tricky. Like it's a home invasion movie, but we know the game, right? We're able to like do the Schadenfreude of like, hey, these guys are really good at what they're doing, and also be opposed to it with her. Like it's very complicated.
Well, and both of these movies put us in a position of authority over the victim or victims because we know the whole thing pretty much already.
But even she is able to surprise the audience with, "Is my house so dirty? Why is everyone dusting?" I mean, she's
so
gaining knowledge and learning things that we don't know that she's picking up on. She is smarter than they think, than we think. So there is there's a lot of cat and mouse actually going on also between the film and the audience.
Absolutely.
In the same way. And in the same way of with like, okay, the game's over. Oh, the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw that coming.
So
Never saw it coming, right?
From the stage, they forgot about that, and it was like, everyone's so dumb and so smart. Like they're the worst and the best, and it was really,
Well, especially because the fridge comes down to stupid Gloria. Like, had she just done
Gloria.
what Sam said, it would be unplugged.
Yeah, I do think it's worth noting how Lisa, R.I.P., is presented in the movie, where she's the quintessential 60s beauty, like the blonde hair and just so gorgeous, and how she's presented. And of course, we see her. I love the shot of the closet, like her body in the bag.
Really shocking. Yeah.
So amazing. And, the one who's sort of transporting the drugs and how she's presented, which also makes the husband, how he turns and is sort of sympathetic, how Sam, ends up taking the doll. And so I think how she, and again, she has that quintessential, that 60s hair, like her whole look, versus Susie, and then versus Gloria. So it's sort of quite an interesting depiction of these ladies and the only ladies in the film.
That's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, when we're talking about Terrence Young being the Dr. No director, like that is a very Bond girl death, right? Like it's macabre. He didn't do Goldfinger, but it does remind me of like now that you mention it, like the gold death of that woman who it's like, oh, look at this beautiful person, and like if you didn't really have an eye of like what's happened here, it's like, oh, this beautiful woman in this bag, and she's posed sexily, right? But she's dead, and that's really shocking. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's interesting, her interplay with, again, all these things in the first like 40 minutes are like boring to me, but then in the climax, you're like, well, you needed all of that to happen. You needed to lay all these things in about their fridge and have all those conversations that you're not surprised by it. But the idea that Gloria is like jealous in some way of Susie, Susie's really worried about her looks and about her becoming an old woman before her time with her new disability, and Gloria's like, I have glasses now at school, so everyone makes fun of me, and all this garbage that is put upon these women, right? that they're fighting over each other's looks when they should be saving each other. They should be helping each other, right? And then in the end, luckily, they find a way, our feminist third way.
I would love to just think about your perspectives on the way the film is lit through the major acts. And God, this just makes me wish I had seen some interpretation of the play, because the first act looks really just beautifully sort of normative lighting, nice 3-point lighting. Everybody looks great and it's all shiny. And at one point it's, she comes, Lisa comes out on the street, and I think it's a Mary Tyler Moore intro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just, everything is gorgeous. By Act 2, we get into this sort of contested illumination, right? Where they're super practical sources, lamps and refrigerator lights, and that first introduction actually is still in Act 1, is of the dark room set, where they have the handle that turns the shields down over the lights. Extraordinary. I love that. And finally, by Act 3, we get into the darkness, the void.
Right.
And it took a little bit for me to realize, this is motivated lighting, right? Lighting is, oh God, the character in the movie, the change character in the movie. By the end, it has betrayed everybody except for our protagonist. How did you guys see it?
I second that.
Okay.
Well, also,
I see I've given you a lot to work with by actually answering my own question.
Yeah,
up front. You're welcome.
You did. Yeah. And I think it's the masterful progression of again, like you were saying with the stage play, this natural progression of how the lighting is changing throughout. And also, we're not getting into Don't Breathe yet, but there's a through line with that too, with both those movies, with she thinks, I don't need the light. So he doesn't get it either. And he does need the light. So, and I love the through line with all three of these movies of what a role vision and the lack thereof plays for all of these characters, is smart movie choice on Kynan's part. No, I love that. And again, that's you have to kind of lead us down this path of we're getting less and less and less light. That's the only way the ending will pay off, and also
could possibly work. Yeah.
I mean, that's how it has to land. And also, this has one of the most, because of how it's lit, iconic jump scares in 60s
Arkin
cinema.
Jumps out of the other room. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he jumps weird, so it also kind of breaks the frame.
It was a real Air Bud.
Exactly.
Yes, it's like, wow, are you doing this?
Yeah, but again, with the lighting change, it's less noticeable from Act 1 to Act 2. I think you have to really think about it. But obviously into Act 3, right, where she's going around smashing these light bulbs, like it is at once terrifying, because we know, okay, we're heading into this place now. Susie, to some extent, has to leave me out of it as the audience. I'm not going to get to go with her into this place. So it's terrifying, but also so empowering her, right? Like to see her preparing. So it works kind of like a Rocky-ish montage of like, now we're gonna do it, right? Or Schwarzenegger strapping the bullet belts to himself. It's like bring it on. Like I didn't know it, but I was born for this. And what's really interesting about that is she's smashing all these. She leaves one of the lights on in the developing room, the dark room area, and I think it's a mistake. And I'm like, oh my God, like you forgot. And I'm like, no, girl, you left one on. And then it turned out that that's part of her backup plan, is to have that one back there and, and then smash it on him if she needs to. And then, again, they're really smart. Like the bad guys are smart as well. Like they're messing up in tiny ways. So Arkin bringing that gasoline in, just awful, so terrifying. And you get these just flashes of like where the screen is like literally nothing on it, and you're like, oh my God, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. It's just black. And then we would come back into these odd direct address. Basically, she's like looking into the camera even though she can't see anything, and when the lights come back on and she's got gasoline or matches or what have you. It's really unlike anything I've seen. And I was surprised actually how Don't Breathe doesn't just copy a lot of it. Right? It's not just doing the exact same thing. They found their own way.
Yeah, those shots of both of those characters, the matches, God, such anxiety. Stop lighting matches, you idiots. Like, it's just, he's got developer in his mouth and he's covered in gasoline. Like, there's just nothing right about it. That was a very intense final sequence.
And one thing I'm grateful for, like, unlike a lot of movies of its time, the Sam, her husband, gets there and the story is over and they end right then. They don't have some other scene later on about her doing really well at blind school or anything else the next day. Like, they're like, that feels very modern to me. Like, there's nothing else there to do once this is done.
Well, because she told us how well she was doing at blind school all the time. She was very proud.
I think we can just call it school.
That's right. Great. All right. So why don't we move on to Fede Alvarez's Don't Breathe, which was new to me. Was it new to any of you? Oh, okay, good.
I knew of it, but I hadn't seen it. And I know it just came out with a sequel that was polarizing. But yeah, no, I'd heard good things, and I really know the cover of the movie. I know that's an anachronistic thing to say, but
at the video store. Yeah, you see it at the video store all the time. Yeah. Yeah, so this is about Rocky, who is a young woman who has dreams of leaving her decaying city of Detroit and taking her young sister Diddy away from her neglectful mother and new mother's boyfriend. And with that, she has her boyfriend Money, that's his name, who seems to have roped her and her best friend Alex into a pretty clever scheme of using the security access that Alex has through his job at his dad's security company to break into houses unknownly, and then pretend that they are smash and grabs at the very end of it. So they get to spend as much time in the house as possible, and then at the end throw a rock through the window and look like it is a much less sophisticated break-in than it is. And that all goes really well until they rip off the wrong guy or try to. And this is the man known as the Blind Man. He's given a name, Norman Nordstrom, in the sequel, but in the credits he is called the Blind Man, and he is an Iraq War vet who has been blinded by a grenade, and he has things to protect in that house that he will not let Rocky, Alex, and Money get away with. And so it is a case of them breaking into the wrong house, and in a lot of ways, a backwards Wait Until Dark is how it was pitched. And Fede Alvarez says that he didn't know about Wait Until Dark until he made the film, and people told him that. So, yes, what do we think? Any axes to grind about Don't Breathe?
Mine's kind of superficial. It's
yay, we love those. Are the best. Those are the most fun.
It's superficial because I'm like, this is not Detroit.
That's your
they're really making Detroit look horrible. I think they shot this movie in Hungary, and there is some, I think there's like a little teeny bit of real Detroit. But I don't know, maybe the exteriors are all Detroit, or a hybrid, but some of the stuff I was like, I don't know about all this, but boy, is this rough on Detroit. I'm just like, wow, man, I mean, I've been to Detroit. This is where you found the one pocket where okay, we need this street where there's nobody lives in any of the houses but one. So I was like, poor, and they talk about it all the time. Detroit, gotta get out of Detroit, gotta get out of Detroit.
Gotta get out of here.
I feel bad for as someone who's from Ohio, and Ohio is always used as an example in movies, not in a great way. I was like, come on, give the Midwest some love.
I just like the idea of someone like a real estate agent going and being like, the blind man lives there. That's where Barbarian lives. Like, it's clearly the same neighborhood as Barbarian.
Oh my God, yes.
The very famous water tower is right over there.
Right. Or it was.
100%.
Yeah.
So funny. Okay, so here, and I don't know if this is an axe, honestly. Like, I hadn't thought about that. I've only seen the movie twice. I saw it once when I saw Stephen Lang was in it, because I'm a big Stephen. As far as I'm concerned, this is a Stephen Lang biopic. I love him so much, and so I didn't think about this the first time I saw it. This time, they get downstairs, and there's the whole thing of the girl and the it's the whole extra stuff downstairs. And I just wonder if we needed all the extra stuff, because part of me thinks that a tight cat and mouse of just, you just picked the wrong house, he's a really bad dude, might have been enough story. Like, this elevates it to the point, but not quite all the way to barbarian. It's like almost not enough for me. So I love it. I love the movie, and I love so much of it. And my favorite parts was the cat and mouse stuff, like the stuff that really played on light and dark. That's where the movie is great. And all of the other, forced breeding scenario is, I was just like, okay, kind of enough.
Especially after Barbarian, after we watched that.
I know. So that may be an axe, and I'll wait and see what you guys think.
That sounds like an axe. I think that's fair. I think that it's interesting to try to make him a monster, right? At some point, something needs to make it that we are not just more afraid of him because it's Stephen Lang, right? is a scary, scary person. But so not just that he's more powerful than them, or maybe even smarter than them, but that he, I don't know, kind of gets what's coming to him. Like, I understand that why we would need something there.
You kind of need to make him monstrous, otherwise we're kids robbing from a blind man. The end.
A vet, a blind vet. Yeah.
But that's the whole point, right? For me, that's the whole part that's gratifying, is he's a blind vet. And you know what? Even though he's a blind vet, he is fully capable of defending himself in horrifically violent ways. And the kids are the monsters, right? Like, I want Stephen Lang to be the protagonist. I want a nobody. I want a Bob Odenkirk who is totally unexpected to just kick some ass and like take and show these youngins that he is not to be trifled with. And instead they did make him a monster. And I think that's my axe. I didn't want Stephen Lang a monster. I wanted Stephen Lang to have agency in his own house in this home invasion.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay.
Yes.
That sounds like Don't Breathe 2, right? From what I
haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
It sounds like they made the movie just for you.
In number 2, he's the hero, and people were upset about it.
Right. So that's
I'm on board for that. Come on. Well, now I'm not, because I don't like his character here. They successfully made him a monster. In 2, if they make him a hero, then that's a problem. If they'd made the movie I wanted, I'd be all on board with that for number 2. You get me.
I get you. Yeah. The only axe I have to grind is because we don't need a lot of setup, or we don't need a lot of character to really understand this. Like, it's like, there's money in the house. Let's go get the money. We want to get out of Detroit. I understand that part of it. This character of the boyfriend Money, I think for me is just too far in the cartoonish direction. And I'm not saying that like there aren't people like him, but for me the movie tits a tat a little bit about like, the order of which people are going to die by making Money such a strange character. So I wish they might have had some nuance there, because we've seen some movies on our show that surprise you even in 2025 about the order of people or whether people are going to die at all. So that's my only thing here.
Did Tommy have an axe to grind? Yeah.
Well, and it not really, but it does, just going along with what you were saying, it does also reflect poorly on our main protagonist, that she would have him as a boyfriend. Doesn't seem great, because she seems like a very cool, grounded, normal person, and he's such a cartoonish person.
Especially because he's sitting in the front seat behind cute sad boy in the back, cute alarm boy. Like, she really... Like, he's the one that should have been with her all the time.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
She chose wrongly.
And I want to also piggyback on what Kynan was saying with the how these characters are sort of caricatures. Even her mom is a caricature. They're like, oh, we got to show that she's from this awful family. She's got to get her sister out of there. Mom's got a shitty boyfriend that's probably hitting on her daughter, and she lets it happen. Like, these just over the top scenarios that feel kind of dated for, what is this, 2016? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Feels, I was like, okay, I get it. But
Mom's wearing a "I hate kids" t-shirt.
basically, yes.
Where did you even buy that?
Yes.
The new boyfriend found it, for her. Yeah. So the movie has all this energy to it. So, Wait Until Dark has a lot of fun with like, getting us in these really dark situations. I'm going to try to find another word for dark as we move on in the conversation.
I dare you.
But this one has an energy even before, we get into that house. The camera is just so fluid and moving. And that's really interesting to me. It does a really good job of like getting us in the mindset of the kids and then switching away to being objective and like judging them really, really easily. I haven't seen the Fede Alvarez movie because I am scared of him. So this is my very first one. And yeah, I was very, very impressed with just the way he can move his camera and get us into the mindset like moment to moment. So that was a real big surprise for me.
There's the opening of when they first get in the house, they do a Mike Flanagan / whoever the director of The Conjuring was, where it goes through the entire house, where you're sort of following people. And unknowingly, we touch on every single important thing, like it's Chekhov's house. Like we see the walls and the things. We even see the crawl space that she ends up crawling through and getting trapped in. I mean, we see it all in just one fluid shot, and that's really exciting. And to start with that killer opening shot of who you learn later is Lang dragging the girl. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. I just wrote down Cindy.
Jane Levy, yeah.
Jane, down the street is, those were really propulsive ways to start things.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I'm so glad you brought up the cinematography. It's so gorgeous. I actually love Fede's Evil Dead. I thought it was a great remake. I'm a big fan of his in general. But I love seeing his collaboration with Jane again in this movie. And also being like, I put you through a lot of Evil Dead in 2013. We're going to do it all again. And we're going to string you up. Oh gosh, I can't even get into that scene. But yeah, I think it's I think it's an underrated part of the movie, that beautiful cinematography. And also the speaking about the lighting, like somebody talked about that in Wait Until Dark, in the basement when he backs into when Stephen Lang's character steps into the background and he's gone. He's like vanished. Yeah. So good. Those moments are so good. And the pacing of this is so good.
Can I question why in the basement? So I know, like, cinematographically, we need to have some light in order for him to. I know, is that great, Tom? In order to have that great shadow back into the shadow bit, you have to have light. Like, we need some contrast. But when he's down there interrogating, as she's all strung up in the diorama, why are there lights on down there? Why does he turn lights on? I don't understand. And I actually think it would be more threatening if he was having a lot of this conversation in the dark.
You might be right there. Okay, you've convinced me, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to poke holes in it, but I still like it a lot. But I just had me thinking he's in control. Why she doesn't need light? He doesn't care about her.
Right. We understand why he needs the light for poor Cindy, who's down there. Cindy, who has run over his daughter and gotten away with it and that kind of thing. But yeah, why does he need it when Rocky is down there? I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
Well, but he has a perverted sense of, he's like, I'm not here to take advantage of you, when he's actually going to be he doesn't force himself on her. So he has this weird line where it's like, he's not going to be cruel and turn off the lights and make you sit in the dark. He's just going to get out his cool baby turkey baster. You know what I mean? So I think he has this really weird moral code of certain things. And I wonder if part of that could be, I know I'm doing a lot of explaining for the movie, but could be, well, there's no reason to just make this a torture. You just have to be a baby factor, then I'm going to let you go. Look at all the pillows.
I understand. I mean, I see that. I do see that. I also think that the movie has captured a really interesting way to be in complete darkness, right? When they go into that sort of weirdo infrared, like complete silver scale darkness, it's really cool. And I like it because I get a sense for what I imagine that's what he sees, right? That's kind of, it's like Daredevil vision for Stephen Lang, right? And that's what sound allows him to see. And I wanted a little bit more of that.
It captures both, I think, both of them so well. Like that, maybe he has this muddled sense, or he knows the place well enough, and then for them, it completely disorients them, right? Like we get the sense of like this is how they are fighting their way through, just with sounds. And I haven't seen anything like it, and so I expected, knowing Wait Until Dark, that they would be doing something similar, and that there'd be sequences that were entirely, literally black, and that wasn't what they did here. And so it's super interesting. So it's this, silver scale. That's a good way of saying it, right? It also flattens it in this really creepy way, right? There's no depth there, so you lose your sense of, not that you've ever been in this space, but you lose your sense of depth perception. So you don't know how far away he is. So like at one point she's looking over at him, or maybe I guess we are supposed to know that he's like 2 feet away from her, right? And then she's reaching over to him by accident, and we don't know how long it'll take her to touch him. So I've just never seen anything like that in my entire life.
I mean, I thought that moment was such a nice little homage to Silence of the Lambs. Is like, though he can see her, and but I thought that, and you're like, oh God, it's such great, masterful suspense.
Yeah, and it kind of answers one of the questions I've had about horror, since before I joined the podcast. Like, is a horror film about guns really a horror film? Like we've had a couple, and like we watched The Hunt or Get Duked, etc. But like there's something about horror that makes it, why a knife, this Freudian thing, is more interesting, or being strangled, right? This one is almost all the violence that actually works is the guns. And I think it's really interesting because I was realizing as I was watching that this is basically like a logic game, right? When they're like standing there, the two of them, they can't communicate to each other, Alex and Rocky, but they have to try to like make a move here with get this device, move this, and he has the gun, and it's like maybe one of them can get shot at, the other one can't. It was like, whoa. And this is, in real time where we're seeing them have to like learn the rules to their own kind of, those logic games where you're like, you can't keep the fox with the chickens, and you have to keep the chickens with the with the grain and move them across there. Yeah. right. And they're doing that. And so the gun is like a really effective way of doing that, more than like a knife, because it's like, okay, gun is you get shot, you're dead, that's it. And there's no other part of it. So that was super interesting to me too, like how you're seeing in real time of them like trying to figure out their situation. And yeah, they're dumb kids, breaking into the wrong house, but they're not stupid.
And that's a really interesting kind of take on it, because when you look at Wait Until Dark, where the darkness for Susie becomes like liberation, it's like that's a thing that allows her control. Darkness here is the complete invert. It's a prison, right? This darkness becomes their cage, and when at the point where they don't know the rules, it's only marginally better than when they do, right? Because when they do know the rules, they also know the threat, and that part is super terrifying. It's a very sort of similar conversation that the film is having with Panic Room, right? This whole idea that the more the characters learn, the worse it gets. Even though they're more informed, it's more terrifying. Works really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I was thinking about that again when Rocky finally gets out of the house, and she turns back and has this great scene that says to the blind man who's waiting in the doorway, "You're useless out here," right? which is so interesting and fun. But then again, he has his other card up his sleeve, which is the dog.
The dog.
Which you just kind of assume at some point, you forget that the dog can see in this weird way. You're like, this is an extension of him. This is a Dracula's minion or what have you. So the same rules apply, and they don't.
It was an interesting, I thought the sequence was done incredibly well, but it is an interesting, pretty protracted sequence of abandoning the bit and letting a creature that can see follow another creature that can see and run around in another little prison. I was trying to see, like, I was trying to connect it, and I wasn't able to get all the way there. It's just sort of like another set piece. Whereas like everything in Barbarian, for instance, is of a piece. Like everything is within the exact same ecosystem. This was just another thing other than the idea of being trapped. and being trapped in something that is supposed to be familiar, but then becomes unfamiliar. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the idea of even with sight, you can't outwit a creature that has raw power, even if you are smart and like lock it in the trunk, but then it just comes through the part of the car because it can smell you better than it can see you and all of that. Maybe that's
right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think the other piece of it is that it's another way to demonstrate his scope of control of the world around him, right? Like it's not just the house. He controls his entire universe, and the dog is just one tentacle of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, my last thing would be about casting. I mean, Stephen Lang is in the highest grossing film of all time, but I don't think that people know him, right? And he can kind of really disappear into this. And I think we can look at him and see him as a human monster in both, you know, the good and the bad, even before we add the thing that Pete has a problem with the turkey baster and all that. Like we see him, we're like, well, this man has done awful things and he can do awful things, but he is also just really, you know, like charismatic in some way and really like sympathetic in some way. So I wonder what you think about that. I mean, because especially compared to like, you know, Dylan Minnette as Alex is like, this is just a nice kid. He's doing all these bad things, but you can't help but look at him and be like, he's a good kid. Let him go. And Stephen Lang has the same
doing it for love, like he's doing it indirectly for the girl.
Right.
Oh, what a legendary performer! I mean, you just look at his catalog. I mean, he is for a lot of people. I think he was just one of those faces. We did Manhunter on the next reel not long ago, and it was such an extraordinary treat to see him pop up in one of his earliest film performances, and that was 86, right? Just what an incredible career this guy has had, in addition to being in highest grossing film of all time.
Where he has I know we're not talking about Avatar, but I love that in Avatar, in the opening sequence with him, he goes, "We're not in Kansas anymore." And I'm like, it's the future. We're still saying that one line. Everyone still knows Wizard of Oz. We have robots. No, he cut such a strong figure, and Alvarez really knows how to frame him, that him just walking at a normal pace out of darkness past the camera is a jump scare in itself, akin to like It Follows when that really tall guy ducks into the girl's bedroom and you're like, it breaks your brain. Like it just him walking at a very leisurely pace is terrifying. It's great.
Well, continuing on, we have Pitch Black by David Huey, which is a sci-fi action horror movie about the last surviving crew member of a passenger transport vessel who is tasked with saving the rest of her passengers. They're pilgrims mostly on their way to a place called New Mecca, which I'm very interested in finding more about, but I don't think that anyone ever answers in the sequels. And so this is Rodden Mitchell as Carolyn Fry, who then finds out that in order to survive, they are going to have to work with one of the passengers who is a prisoner named Riddick, who is known as a serial murderer, an infamous criminal who has surgically altered eyes that allow him to see in the dark but make him sensitive to light. And luckily, that will come in handy as the planet goes into a once in, I believe, 23-year eclipse, and that makes the entire surface of the planet entirely dark. And that's when the creatures come out. I don't know if they have names. Maybe if some of you know the lore of the further movies, you can help me with some of the lore of it. But these are cannibalistic, awful little things that lack eyes of themselves and have some way of seeing things in sonar, and that can eat you real good. So it is a really good old-fashioned disaster movie, horror film. We're picking off people one by one, and it looks like we have to rely on Riddick and fight over the future of the group with Cole Hauser as William Johns, a bounty hunter who is trying to transport Riddick and doesn't really care about the safety of the survivors either. So this was a new one to me. I had not seen Pitch Black.
Really?
I don't know why.
Oh.
It's kind of up my alley, it turns out. Yeah, and so I'm assuming you've all seen Pitch Black.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I played the video game, which was remarkably good.
That's what I've heard.
It was called Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay, and you
Yeah.
actually in the game, it's a prequel to this. You are in the slam, and you get the shine job, and you spend your whole time like hunched over, and you have that cool little like way, and it's like a stealth fighter game. It's dope.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds great. What system would that have been on?
Atari, I don't know. I'm so old. It came with
Pre-Rumble,
Pong.
pre-Rumble
Yeah.
packs. Yeah.
I think
Any
that's-
axes to grind on pitch black?
Uh-oh, Chelsea's already nodding her head. What?
I think Tommy was getting ready though, so he can.
Oh, okay.
No, mine is just it doesn't, a lot of the visuals don't hold up as much, and some of the editing doesn't hold up as much. Like it feels very, let's put on a show and save the town. When I saw it in the theater, I was blown away by like, this looks like it cost $100,000 million. It does not anymore. And there's just some weird stuff. But that being said, there's some amazing visuals. Sorry, Chelsea, go ahead.
I mean, I'll pick. Well, I think the director David Twohy wrote one of my favorite movies, The Fugitive, and in this, I feel like some of the writing, there's too much going on. I think there's way too many things. I was like, we can streamline this baby. And also to piggyback on what Tommy said, I think, and this may be a sort of a note overall, that the effects are so of its time. That same thing where I know when I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, but I come from a background of having seen so many practical effects movies. And it's like, what if they would have done like some sort of hype, like do more puppetry, don't make it all digi. Because some of it just doesn't. The designs are really cool too. I mean, even at looking at something like Silent Hill, how there's that practical and digi too. Not that I'm saying that holds up just as well, But I think that I will agree with that was kind of my biggest note. Is like, I want this to still hold up, and it doesn't quite. But I still really enjoyed it, and the designs were so cool that it kind of overcompensated. I was like, or it kind of made up for that. Where I was like, I guess and I love the blind spot that he finds. Like, that's very cool, like within the design. So
Yeah, I can forgive the effects part of it for movies from this time period. I still am not over kind of that general music. I know this is Graham Ravel, who's a good composer, but like that, like light metal rap thing that's like kind of like Evanescence, but not really. That like a lot of movies like that is what hasn't aged well for me. The effects, I'm like, well, that's the effects, and yeah, they could have been smarter with them and used more practicals and models and stuff like that. But yeah, I won't forgive them for the the metal rap, the light metal rap thing.
Light
I think the
new
word
metal.
you were looking for was evanescent.
Evanescent.
That was hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm. I mean, yeah, it's certainly of a time. I think the editing is what is the real tell for me that this could have been a direct to sci-fi release, right? Just the general pacing, hard cuts. There's a lot going on in the script. You're right. Just simmer down, everybody. But especially that first act in the sort of hyper exposure pre-eclipse universe. This felt like something that we could have seen on a sci-fi feature, and I was still blown away by it. But today I look back and think, how did I get so excited about this in the theater? Like, this is a little bit lower rent than I would have expected. It did give us, though, and I think the reason this movie stands up to history is because it gave us Riddick. It gave us this little franchise that is dope. That character is awesome. And, I look at this and I think, first family. Come on. That's really
family.
Great, right?
Yeah.
And so I like the stuff they did in camera. I like the stuff they did that they lens, the hyper exposure, underexposure stuff. I think it's really, really cool. The wackadoo kind of we're in Monster Vision kind of looking at it's the opening. It's the 1986 open to HBO, and it just kind of comes out of it. I felt like I was on the ride. I was in for it. And Cole Hauser is comically well suited for this role.
Yeah.
Come on. So
And Vin Diesel is legitimately so magnetic.
Yes.
in this movie. With this
So
and
good.
Boiler Room coming sort of back to back, I was like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
this guy is the best. I'm going to want to watch everything. And then time progressed. But but I mean, with him, I was just like, I want to watch this guy in everything.
Yeah. The shoulder trick that he pulls in the beginning. I mean, that may be one of the most horrific things in this movie, is just getting off of the ship and dislocating the shoulders. That effect was incredibly well executed.
And I care the most about him than anyone else in the movie.
Right. And see, no, this is a really good point. Like, how I feel about Vin Diesel in this movie is how I wanted to feel about Stephen Lang in Don't Breathe. That answers.
Just tell us he's a monster. Yeah. You tell us he's a monster. Yeah. And we'll get that. Yeah. I was surprised by how much I did care about the three characters. Because I was like, okay, Vin Diesel, this is his star-making turn, essentially. But I did read, like, David Twohy saying that on set it was difficult because basically Rhoda Mitchell, Cole Hauser, and Vin Diesel all thought they were number one on the call sheet. They said, but I just dealt with it because it was working so well for the movie. Like, each of them is like, I'm the hero here. I'm the one who's going to do this, and they have such different ideas about how to do that I found super fascinating. In retrospect, of course, you should be relying on Riddick. He can see in the dark. All right. All of our problems are about seeing in the dark. Riddick can see in the dark. But I did really, really enjoy that. Riddick is scary sometimes. Like, he is, I get why he becomes a hero, but he's legitimately frightening. I think Vin Diesel could do it without his goggles, but that goes a long way of, like, not being able to, see what he's thinking. So, yeah, I wonder if I had seen this without knowing that he becomes the hero of his own franchise, if I would have been like, oh, he's the bad guy. He's going to screw them all over. Yeah, I wonder about that, but we'll never know, I guess, because he's Riddick.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that looking at what we got of Riddick's kind of eye shine, I think they call it the eye shine, the POV was it was really interesting to see how they treat that, especially coming off of what they do in the basement of Don't Breathe. Like, just looking at how they interpret, how do we interpret pitch black on screen? And I think this is another one where they really nail it for the universe of the movie, because maybe they get away with it because they're playing so heavily with us in every other environment. Like, there's just very little that is normal in this thing, right? But for me, all of that works very, very well.
Yeah, and I like these environments they find themselves going into and crawling through mountains of skeletons, etc. Like I'm glad that they don't just settle for like, well, it's like a desert. It's like exactly like a desert on Earth. You all can understand what that is and move on. Like they're really, I don't know how much lore there is to it, but it feels like they have some kind of a show Bible where they're thinking about these things. But, like David Twohy's other, big sci-fi movie, The Arrival, where some people really don't like The Arrival because it doesn't really answer any questions, right? Like, this one provides enough for me where I'm like, okay, they're thinking about this, like that these holes exist for some reason and that they're mining whatever's down there without like over explaining it. Like, we don't get a whole big log of like, and this is this, and this is this, and this is the life cycle of all of these, which I love about it. It just keeps us, oh God, I'm going to say it again, in the dark.
You did this to yourself.
Monsters are unilluminated.
Yes.
The other thing that I think is really fun about this is that we have Riddick get the shine surgery, right? He does it intentionally, right? He does it with agency. It's not an accident. It's not something that is a part of him naturally. And the darkness itself on this planet is an environmental inevitability. I think that's actually cool because everyone is on the same team. Like, the planets are doing their thing and we're all going to be in the dark. And that's another bit of difference. Like the other two movies, it's all about who controls the light versus the dark. And in this movie, no one controls the light versus the dark. It's just going to happen.
There's also, in line with that, there's a lot of, this movie has a lot about inversion. The idea that instead of daytime, it's going to be nighttime all the time, that the first person that dies is the captain, the person that you want in charge. The police officer who you think is a police officer turns out to be the big bad guy, and the big bad guy ends up sort of helping save the day. A boy turns out to be a biological girl. At one point when she's inside the cocoony things, the one thing meant to keep her safe, her safety rope, is the thing dragging her down to back into the darkness. It's I mean, for something that's called pitch black, there's a lot of just, what if we just flipped it? What if we just flipped it and see what happens? The fact that there's children in this movie and they are not safe and there are monsters in the dark and none of the kids make it. There's a lot of
None of the
turned on
kids
their
make
head.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
here for that.
Yeah. But I cared so much about them as characters. Yeah, I just like all the things turned on its head.
That's really interesting. That's really great, Tommy. The one I had picked up on, I didn't think of any of those, is this showdown at high noon, essentially, between our two men, right? Between Riddick and Johns. That is between two people that we still think are bad guys at this point, right? We still think, oh, both of them are. And it is this showdown in front of everybody, but they can't actually see what's going on. So it is this total inversion of okay, let's get down to the main street and like, we're going to settle this once for all. And the rest of you are going to know how the rest of this town is going to go. But no, then Riddick comes out of that after, this showdown of them stabbing each other to death, and he has to explain it to them, like, this is what happened. Johns was a bad guy, trust me now. And they're like, what? We didn't see it. We're just gonna base this on your word? That's insane. So I love that scene. That's so cool.
And of course the biggest inversion is the co-captain. She's the one that doesn't make it. She's pulled into the darkness. I never saw that coming.
Bold move. I love it.
Yeah, she's really good. I don't know why I wasn't paying attention to maybe there are there opening credits? Because I was like, who is this woman? Who is this woman? She's really good. And then the other, Rhoda Mitchell. Oh my God. Yeah. I know her. She's great. I don't know why I didn't recognize her. She's not like in makeup or anything. But I was like, oh yeah.
Silent Hill movie.
Yes, right.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I've seen a movie where she was the title character twice, Melinda. So no, I've seen her in many things. But yeah, for whatever reason, I was like, wow, this is a really interesting, a new actor I've never seen before. But yeah, she's really interesting. She has this guilt over, in the panic, trying to sacrifice all the passengers in the cargo hold in order to get a chance at surviving. And I like how they weave that in. I think that's not necessarily overplayed. Riddick gets to use that against her and be like, you wanted to kill them all. And she's like, well, I knew that was wrong as soon as we all survived. Right. As soon as we're like down there. But like, so she's like trying to save them all because of her duty as the captain now or whatever, but also just out of this guilt that I find very interesting. And again, it's not like, oh, let's talk about this. But I think she's doing some really interesting things with it.
And she ultimately redeems herself, but the movie still punishes her.
Yeah.
That's what makes it such a big move, is she is not going to leave everybody behind. And then they're still like, hey, yoink. Is the noise that it makes.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah, with an echo on it. Yeah, for the echolocation.
Yeah. The movies sort of all three of them, I think, have an interesting kind of political perspective on blindness. Right? Like Audrey Hepburn is progressive and capable, empowered, intelligent, ultimately triumphant. Right? I think it's ultimately a positive perspective. Not like blindness is a superpower, but she's definitely, doesn't lead her to pure victimhood. Right? She gets through. Don't Breathe, I think, is deeply ambivalent. Right? Like it is simultaneously a vulnerability, and it appears as a tactical advantage to him through most of the movie, and then but it's really kind of toes the line of neutral because he's a monster also. And then we get to Pitch Black, where the modified vision is a direct marker of criminality, right? Like it is a sign that he's a monster, because it's set up in the beginning that you wouldn't get this surgery if you weren't thrown in the bowels of prison, right? You are a terrible person if your vision is somehow compromised. There's something about, I don't know what the punchline is of that trio, but seeing these movies together and watching how they each chart the politics of blindness is, I think, a fascinating sort of journey.
Yeah, I think in like the film studies world that we're still coming to terms with disability as like a special cinema into its own, the way you would black cinema or queer cinema. Like one of my colleagues at UNLV, Rudy Borman, right now she's teaching disability in cinema, and I think it takes a couple times people looking at this, and especially over the history of it, and like seeing the really regressive images from our not so distant past, where you're like, okay, I guess that's what we've been saying all along. So yeah, I'm really excited to see more from people who are looking at that, and then more like voices from the disability community, as they say, like, hey, because it is often like this cycle of, okay, we just don't talk about this, we don't talk about black people, we don't talk about gay people, and then it's like, okay, we can do that now, but let's make fun of them or other them. And then there's this period where it's like, okay, we're going to have them as heroes, but they can only be heroes. They can just be these boring, Sidney Poitier. He's always right. He's the most beautiful person in the room. Everyone loves him. And then eventually we get to a place where it's like, well, just include them and they could do everything. They could be villains, they could be heroes, etc. So hopefully we're close to that. Hopefully it skips over a lot of the other ones once it gets going. But let's just go there. They can do whatever they want. I
don't know that it necessarily this movie doesn't fit. But has anybody seen Fernando Moraes did a movie called Blindness in the 2000s? Have you seen that movie? Julianne Moore, Mark Ruffalo.
I thought about putting it on the list here, but I didn't go there. Yeah.
I'm really relieved that you didn't, because there are very few movies that I can't stand more than this movie. I was really repulsed by it, and it does very, very well, but I hate this movie. And part of it is exactly that, because it seems like we're not othering, we're everying. Like suddenly this entire world is ravaged by white blindness, and the people who survive are the only people who can see, and they're pretending they're passing as people who are blind.
Oh boy.
And they're horrible to each other. It's not. I don't care for that movie at all. Like I really
sounds like the most problematic consumer.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Thank God for sight.
Yeah.
Right. There are so many problems with this movie, and yet I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, Blindness was so good." I'm like, "We saw different movies." But that's one of those things, Kynan. I think it gets right to, we don't know how to do this yet. And how to figure out what is appropriate to talk about, and to make both compelling narrative and okay. Right? I don't know how to do two things.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thanks for going on these. Yeah. Any other ideas about the theme overall, about the interplay? Oh, one last thing about Pitch Black is I really like how bright it is at the beginning. So like that's creepy as well. Like you could also see maybe other movies that there aren't a lot of horror movies that are entirely, white brightness, but that is happening, I guess, more and more. But yeah, any other ideas about the interplay between light and dark here?
I actually have one more thing I wanted to bring up, because I hadn't heard of it and until now, and I want to know if you, all smarter than me, have heard of this. Have you heard of haptic horror? Is haptic cinema something that makes sense to you? And can you talk about it? Because I think these films are a trio of films sort of fit.
I'm just imagining that it is about touch while you're watching a film.
Tom's nodding gently.
Yes.
I guess I just know what haptic is.
I know what
Like
haptic is.
Yeah, just that.
Yeah, exactly.
It gestures you, so you're feeling what you're
I
seeing.
know it's like VR kind of.
Yeah, sure.
Like
Well,
Ready Player One, he bought a haptic suit.
Yes, absolutely. And so beyond the definitions of the words, apparently it means more when you put them together. Haptic cinema and haptic horror. It is, and again, totally new term for me, but this is what I wrote down. Cinema that emphasizes tactile space, sound design, and proprioceptive awareness over optical pleasure, right? Over the visual element. And these movies, when they play with light and dark, they're leaning heavily into haptic cinema, right? They're trying to use this primarily visual medium, and they are attacking different senses. And I think that's really interesting to me. It challenges some really fundamental assumptions about, seeing as knowing, and I really like it. So this was the first time I've heard of it. I'm really interested in exploring other films that fit in area. So
That sounds
we're
great.
all in the same boat, y'all. We're coming back to this.
Oh, I like learning together. This is great. All right. And with
This is
that,
a great set of picks, Kynan.
Yeah,
Well done.
thank you. I had a lot of
Yeah.
fun, especially with these movies I hadn't seen before. All right. Yeah, but we're going to pass it on for next month to Chelsea Stardust.
Yeah.
This is very exciting, Chelsea. What do you have?
So these will all be very fun movies. I'm leaning into the fun. And since I was like, well, since my first time, I was like, maybe I don't, how scholarly do I want to get? I said, because it's spooky season and these will probably all be movies you'll want to watch in October to prep for the next month. So, and apologies if you've already used this term, but I was calling this the Night of Sitting in the Dark, and doing 1984's Night of the Comet, 1986's Night of the Creeps, and 1988's Night of the Demons.
Great.
All very fun. Can give you those, if you've seen them, the nostalgic feels of the 80s, and all have great special effects.
Mm-hmm.
Night of the Creep, was that I have good news and bad news? Good news is your boyfriends are here. The bad news is they're dead.
You got it.
I haven't seen any of these movies. I'm so excited.
Ooh, okay.
These are all three new to me. Night of
Me too.
movies.
Great.
Wow.
Good choices.
Night of the Comet was the Valley Girls one, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, haven't seen it. I'm so excited. Okay, this is gonna be great.
They're all very fun. So they're going to be
Okay.
a fun ride for these.
Oh, what joy. All right, Night of. It's Night of Chelsea Stardust is what it is. I'm very excited about this. And I will say how exciting that this show will drop on October 31st. I can't believe Halloween is a Friday. I mean, come on. Thank you, everybody, as always, for downloading and listening to this show. We sure appreciate your time, your attention, and, your tendencies toward horrific thoughts and feelings. You found a home. You found a home right here. If you'd like to get longer ad-free episodes of the show, visit truestory.fm/join and subscribe for just a few bucks a month. You'll have access to the show without any ads in the front and in the back, and you'll get access to the triple secret Discord channels on the True Story FM server if you want to come talk with other movie folks. We would love to have you there. On behalf of our esteemed educator, Kynan Diaz, Chelsea Stardust, and Tommy Metz III, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll see you next month right here, sitting in the dark.